YouTube, what is up? Pocket Profit coming live. Coming live, guys. Coming with a video for beginner eBay sellers, okay? Now, how's it going, Kitty? This video is going to be me more talking to you guys. A little different than my normal live streams. But this video I think is going to be super important, especially if you are beginner reseller, okay? And specifically to eBay. This video is going to help you get to your first $500 in sales on eBay, your first $1,000 sales on eBay. Just really good information that I'm going to try to compact in this live video to really help you guys get to those places. So I'm going to give you 5 tips that are really going to help beginner eBay resellers, okay? Super, super important to listen and take some notes if you need to. Rewatch this video a bunch of times and it's going to help you out, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So the first tip I'm going to give you guys is list items every day, okay? Now, you guys probably heard this before, but it's super important, and it seems to be, I'll give you some of these, a proven helper when it comes to your eBay algorithm. That really helps buyers find your listings or keeps sales rolling in more consistently, it seems like, when you're listing every day. So now there's a couple ways to do this. There's a way where you can schedule your listings. It costs, I believe, more money to have it where your listing is completely done, and then you put on this little service where, okay, it'll list Thursday, it'll list Friday, whatever you may be, and you can set one up each week, and it'll do it automatically for you, so you don't have to. So there's that way. Now, what I would suggest, especially since you are a beginner and you don't really want to put money in areas where you don't really need it unless it's worth it. Now, maybe down the road that's something, but what I would suggest is if you're a person like I was when I first started, I would take 20, 25 items, and today was my day of listing, Sunday or whatever it is. I'm listing on Sunday. That's the only day I have available to do listing. So I would list 20 items and then list them all, post them, and good to go, and then move on and not really list anything throughout the week. Now, what I want you guys to consider to do, now if that's true, if that's the case for you, you only have that Sunday, you only have that Monday, Thursday, whatever day it is to do your listings, you're completely booked the rest of the week. What I would suggest then is do your 20 listings, okay? Take that time that you already set aside, get your 20 listings ready to go, then list almost all of them, okay? Save 7 or 6 for throughout the week, okay? And then you can put them in your drafts, and they'll save for you in your draft folder, already ready to go, completely done, pictures taken, format set, everything's ready to go. So every day, say when you wake up, you just go ahead and list one of those items. And then the next day you wake up and you list one of those items, okay? So you consistently have at least one item every single week, and you have a big bulk on that Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is that you're listing. So that'll help your algorithm, make it go more consistent sales, and I think it will really help you in the long run. So like I said, if it's only your one day, this is my day to list, I can't list any other days, go ahead, that's fine. Get those listings done, pictured, ready to go, but just save about 6 of them and then just list one every day, and it'll really help your algorithm. And I think you'll see you get more sales when it comes to doing that. So super important to list every day. All right, so the second tip I want to touch on is, now with eBay, when you first start, and most any platforms when you first start, they kind of limit you. They limit how many things you can try to sell, how many listings you can have. And that's just to check to make sure that you're going to be a good quality seller. They don't want to give you 1,000 listings right away and you're just putting up nothing good or nothing selling, or you're trying to counterfeit things, and it's just not a good scenario. So a lot of times with eBay and things like that, they're going to go ahead and limit how many listings and things you can have in the beginning, which it's good company policy. I understand that. But as for us, it can suck because we get to our 10, 15 listings or whatever it is that we can list, and then that's it. We can't list anything else. We're stuck till something sells, or we take something down to put something else up, or whatever, and we start acquiring a death pile. So a huge tip to do is, now make sure you wait about at least 30 days, maybe a little longer, and you get some sales coming through, and you are showing that you are a good seller, that you have good performance, you're shipping on time, and you're getting things done very well, and you're not messing it up, you're not a counterfeiter, all that stuff, okay? Now, when you do that, wait about 30 days or longer, and give eBay a call, okay? And I know you guys are like, I don't want to call. Just give them a call and say, hey, I've been a good seller, I've been selling stuff, I've been shipping things out on time, I've been doing good by you guys in your company, but I'm getting held back because I have inventory that I need to list, but your limitations are holding me back as a business, okay? Now you're gonna say that to them, and they might ask you a few questions like, okay, where do you see yourself in a year? How many more items do you think you're gonna be able to list? What kind of items you're gonna list? That kind of stuff. And majority of the time, more times than not, once you're done with that, they're gonna go ahead and increase your quantity of listings you can have. I did this when I first started, and they increased mine, I think it was by 50%. And I know they have certain limitations. They can only give you so many. At the time, I think it was either 50%, and it might be more now, but I forget how many listings I had exactly. But so if it's 100 listings, you're only allowed 100, and you call and you talk to them, and they increase it by 50%, they're going to give you an extra 50 slots way ahead of time than they would have normally. Because they do things on schedules and stuff, so maybe you would have got up to 150 listings in 3-4 months, okay? But since you called and you explained what was going on and you gave them what's going on in the business, they went ahead and gave you an extra 50 listings way ahead of time. So I did this when I first started, super important. Obviously you need more listings to list more items, and the more you can list, the more money you're gonna make. So make sure once you get that 30 days or 40, 50 days, a good quality service, selling items, doing well, shipping on time, give them a call and ask them to go ahead and lift some of the limitations, give you more listings, and they will most likely do it. I've never really heard of someone getting told no unless they had a bad account or something like that. I just know it worked for me. I did it personally, and it was amazing. Helped me out a lot, get more sales, get more things listed, and eliminate that death pile. Super, super important, okay? All right, so tip number 3, the third one. The third tip is, there's kind of like 2 into this one tip, okay? The first thing I want to touch on the third one is super important, and I know it may be common sense and you guys already know it, but just in case for the people that do not know, or they're on the fence, they haven't even started selling yet, huge, huge, huge tip. Make sure you know how to check completed listings when you're looking at eBay, okay? Now, how to do this and what it does is it lets you look and actually see if things are selling, okay? So say you look up a Monopoly board game, and anyone can ask whatever price they want for it, okay? And there's hundreds of thousands of listings, okay? Now, when you go ahead and check completed listings, one, it's going to show you, is that item actually selling? And that's going to show green with the price. And if it's not selling at all, or not very many are selling, it's going to show mostly red numbers for the price, okay? So how to check completed listings is go ahead and type in your Monopoly game, look it up, okay? Search, and up in your right-hand corner, there's going to be a button that says filters. Click that. And then down below, it's going to say completed listings, and go ahead and click that. And it's going to bring up all the sold listings or non-sold listings. And then you can really tell if one item sells it's a good selling item. It's going to tell you price point, where these items are actually selling at. And it's also going to help you tell speed of sale, or how many per se a month actually sell. So super, super important to make sure you're checking completed listings, okay? So that was first part of this tip 3, okay? Now the second part of this tip 3 that is super important, and I wish someone would have told me ahead of time, and I could have done better, and I could have done some more research, okay? And that is checking your average shipping costs for items, okay? And you're like, well, what do you mean by that? Well, doing research to find out what the costs for certain weights are going to be for items. So a good way to think about this is, if you're at a thrift store, okay, and you find a big, heavy back massager, Okay, it's a good selling item, but you found it for $10. Well, then you got to consider what the price it is going to be to ship that item and put that together. So if it's $10, well, then you know, worst case scenario, if you have to ship flat rate medium box, it's going to be about $13. Okay, well, now that makes the price of that massager $23, worst case scenario, plus your eBay fees and all that. And then you can go, well, this only sells for 30 bucks. It's totally not worth it. I'm not even going to purchase it, okay? That's why it's so important. It's so important to kind of get an idea, a little bit of a grasp of how much things are going to cost when you ship, because then you can price analyze everything when you're in the store. You find an HP brand new sealed ink. Well, you know, that's pretty light. It's going to be 3, 4, 5 ounces. It's $5. You're going to have about $3, $4 in shipping, okay? You're going to have a little bit in fees, but it sells for $20, $25, and you're going to make $5 or $10. So you can know that it's going to be a good purchase and really figure out a better your ROI before you even leave the store. And you can feel a little safer about it. Instead of going, I'm going to buy this, you get it home, you list it, you sell it, and then you go to ship it, and you're like, oh, I'm losing $1 on this. I wish I would have thought about that shipping ahead of time. And that happened to me when I first started, just because I didn't quite understand it, and no one even told me, hey, go research shipping prices. I thought it was all going to be magic and rainbows, and I was going to make money on every item, and I just didn't do that research. So I just really wanted to bring that to your attention. I don't think a lot of people touch on this subject when they're talking to beginners, and it's super important, and I hope you guys do that research. Okay. All right, so the fourth tip I want to touch on is put effort into better selling items, right? Everyone's going to be like, yeah, duh. Or items that are not very difficult to understand. And it sounds simple, but a lot of times what happens is people, they come into reselling, especially on eBay, and they're like, well, I'm going to sell clothes. There's clothes everywhere. Let's go. I don't know a dang thing about clothes, but I'm going to jump into clothes, okay? And let's say they're looking for Ralph Lauren polo shirts, whatever, okay? Now, there is a huge variety, tons of different versions of Ralph Lauren polo shirts. There's the full color horse and rider. There's the individual colored horse and rider, and then there's like certain emblems that are more valuable. There's just this crazy thousands of different variations of this one specific type of item, okay? And let's say that's polo, Ralph Lauren, whatever. There's just thousands of different varieties that can really complicate the process, where you're like, yeah, that's a good item, and then you figure out later that no, because it wasn't the right colored horse, or it didn't have the right emblem, it didn't have the right tag, it's not as old as I thought it was, okay? Super tricky in that market, and you're brand new and you just don't know, and you got excited and you bought it. So that's why I say stick to, when you first start, with things you can't really get wrong, okay? A good example is a sealed board game. That's a sealed board game, okay? It's got a barcode. You can look it up that way. It's the certain edition. It has a model number or whatever. You can't really get it wrong. It is what it is, and you can't get it wrong if is it new or is it used. It's brand new sealed. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't really mess that up as much as you can a Ralph Lauren polo, because there's so many different variations of that one item. And then you look at like a sealed board game. Well, that's what it is. You can't. It's not whatever, you know, it is that item. And that really will help confidence, for one, because a lot of times, let's say that new sealed item sells pretty well and good, and it'll make you feel confident, and you know what you're buying. It's not a random, oh, I'm taking a guess. This is what it is, and it's just super helpful with confidence. Normally it'll sell faster and quicker and make you feel good and want to get out there and do more. So that's just kind of a suggestion, and I really think it helps when you start out and you're a beginner, because like I said, there's just so many variations that take time. You got to learn, you got to do that research, and if you want to get started now, and things that are simple and easy to find and easy to list, and just learn that process, learning how to print your labels, how to learn how to ship your items, just so much easier with a simpler breakdown of an item. So like a sealed board game compared to like thousands of different variations of a Ralph polo shirt. So I hope you guys kind of understand what I mean by that, and I think that is super important. All right. Last tip I want to give you guys, the fifth thing I want to talk about, and it's super important, and it kind of goes with all types of business, whether you want to become a reseller, you want to open a store and your service store or whatever, okay? Super important, and that is know yourself. Know what kind of person you are. And why this is so important is you can understand where your faults are and adjust your plan accordingly. I can't stress this enough. I know I've talked about it before, but it's so important. Now, what do I mean by this, okay? Now, say you're just wanting to become an eBay seller, okay? You want to start being an eBay seller, and you're like, okay, I'm going to list all my stuff on Sunday. Yep, that's the day I'm doing it. I got time. We're good. Everything's going to go great. Well, you don't realize, and you don't self-analyze yourself going, well, I watch football on Sunday. So what happens is Sunday comes along, and you start listing 1 or 2 items, and you're like, crap, football's on. I'm going to watch football. And you start watching football, and you don't get that work done that you were ahead of time scheduled for that time, okay? So you kind of need to know who you are and what your faults are. If you know you're a Sunday football watcher like me, you need to know, well, then I need to pick a different day, or I need to make sure I list on Saturday or get an extra few things done Saturday, so Sunday comes around, I can watch my football. So you really need to be self-critical of yourself and really analyze what kind of person you are. If you're a person that likes to sit on the couch for 6 hours, I don't care. Not a problem at all. Just know that and adjust your plan accordingly to that. A lot of people, too many people come into reselling or some sort of business and they don't know what kind of person they are, and they fail and they can't make their $500 or $1,000, their first 500 or first 1,000, because they didn't plan ahead for what kind of person and what kind of things they're going to do, and they fail and they go, well, what happened? I don't know. I tried really hard. Well, you got to figure out what kind of person you are so you can change or plan around it. You don't necessarily have to change. If you like watching 6 hours of TV a day, I don't care. That's fine. Just know that you got to plan a time outside of that 6 hours of TV watching time that is going to put you in position where you are going to be able to make that first $500 or that $1,000, okay? So super, super, super important. Just know what kind of person you are. And they're not necessarily bad things, guys. If you, like I said, they're not bad things. They're just who you are, and then plan accordingly to make sure your plan of business compensates for that, whatever it is, okay? So that's all I really have for you guys today. I know this is live, and I know a few of you guys are jumping in with some questions and stuff. I do really appreciate it, but I really just wanted to get this video out there and just get this message across for beginner sellers, guys. These are super important tips that I wish someone would have told me some of these when I first started, and that's really what I want to do. I want to help you guys. I hope this helps you make your first 500, your first 1,000, and so much more after that. So that's all I really have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. Pocket Profit out.